Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the pod. It's good to be here. It's good to have something to work on and somewhere to put my energy. I think most of us, but definitely as a creative, if I'm not expressing in some way, or if I don't have somewhere to put this energy that's inside of me, I start to lose my mind. And this podcast is keeping me sane. And that's a lovely thing. However, this podcast, because we're growing it and it's new and it's exciting and I love seeing your guys' comments and seeing your guys' interactions and seeing how our numbers are growing. Like, it's really fun. I love this thing and I want it to grow. So that aspect of it is so fun. But what that's doing is making me be on my phone a lot more than is maybe healthy. Even before the podcast, I think we are all going through this. This is a new technology. Well, it's old now, but new in terms of our biology. It's new for our biology, for what we evolved to be and process and do. It's new for us to have access to everyone and everything and these platforms that are just constant streams of information and opinions and entertainment and cat memes and all this stuff. It's new for us to have that available to us all the time in our pocket. And I'm guessing you're like me, where you've struggled with how much you're on your phone, how much you're engaging with social media, how much of your time the entire world, digital world, is occupying in your life. And I think we all can recognize probably that we're on it too much. Not that we need to not be on it at all, but that we're on it too much than we would like, and that it has some negative impacts in how we'd like to live our life, or how we'd like to feel in our life, or how we'd like to be engaged in our life. It's definitely a thing for me. And that's by design, by the way. If you've seen The Social Dilemma, that's a great documentary on this, but we know this. These apps that have taken over our lives, they were designed to take over our lives. Their mission is to have us on their apps as much as possible. That's how these apps were created. How do we get, it's an attention economy. How do we get their attention as much as possible? That's how we win. That's the apps, right? So they have studied what our brains do. They have studied what we will have a hard time controlling ourselves with, and they've designed these apps to hijack those parts of our brain so that we'll stay on them, and boy, are they successful. I try and think about my first Instagram post before TikTok, early days of social media. Twitter was out, but like first Instagram post. And I think about how innocent, I think it was a photo of a flower with a filter on it. And it was like, ooh, look at me. I'm a cell phone photographer now. And I can see what my friends are taking photos of. And just over the years, it's become so much more than that. I remember when Instagram stories came out, I was like, I don't want to watch these. Now I live on them. I love watching them now. And I remember an innocent year ago. I just started TikTok a year ago. I had heard people talking about it, how much they were on it, and I was like, not for me. And then I got on it, and now I'm on it. There's so much good shit to look at. I learn things, I laugh at things, I'm inspired by things. I'm disgusted by things, but it's all so easy and it's right there on my phone. And yeah, so I struggle with this relationship with my phone, even though I love so many aspects of it and I want you subscribing and following all my shit and enjoying my content. I want you to engage. I love seeing your comments. I love knowing you're engaging with what I'm doing. I love engaging with creators that I love. Like, that's the dilemma, is I love so many aspects of it, but there are aspects of it that can be unhealthy or just not optimal. Just not helping us be more present in our lives, be more connected, be more content. Not content, content, right? Yeah, this is the space that we all find ourselves in. So today on the pod, I thought it would be great to talk to my friend Tommy Sobel. He founded a company called Brick that is centered around digital wellness and digital habits. He's the world's first digital habits coach. He studied neuroscience and actually had some papers published in a PhD program in UCLA. Then he got into the film industry, and he was I think an assistant to Steven Spielberg, or just a high up junior executive at DreamWorks, which is pretty amazing from where I'm sitting. You would think that would be fulfilling or exciting or whatever, but he found himself addicted to his phone and not fulfilled in that space. And years ago, he started Brick and has grown it into a community, and he's grown himself into a great coach for others on how to optimize their life and their digital habits. And he's a great friend of mine, and I think has a lot to offer us in this conversation around our phones and our digital addictions. So we cover a lot of ground about all those things, and I hope you come away with this with some helpful reminders or tips on how to just balance your relationship with your phone a little bit better. Enjoy the pod. Share it, subscribe, and I'll see you in the comments. I am thrilled to say this episode is sponsored by Athletic Greens AG1. I have been wanting to try AG1 and make it a part of my daily health routine for years. A ton of my favorite podcasts are sponsored by it, and now Growing Up is. So I take AG1 in the morning before I do anything. It's a glass of water, and it's a scoop of AG1. And it just makes me feel and makes me know that I've taken a foundational step towards being healthier. When you start getting to know and start wanting to take care of yourself and learn what nutrition is in your body, the problem becomes very quickly your medicine cabinet can fill up with like 40 different bottles of supplements, because everyone is like, you got to take this mineral, this vitamin, this prebiotic, this probiotic. What AG1 does is they simplify it. It's all right there, one scoop in the morning, and you are foundationally taking care of your health and your body's nutrition needs for the day. It's got minerals, it's got vitamins, prebiotics, probiotics. Simplified, it tastes great. I cannot talk highly enough about AG1. And if you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D, which is essential, and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/growdevon. That's athleticgreens.com/growdevon, DEVON, and check it out. Tommy, hi.
Hi.
Hey, man. Great to see you. Thanks for
Great to be
coming
here.
on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to Growing Up with Devon. We have a wonderful audience and growing podcast, and this has been something I've really loved doing and have been very excited about. However, growing a new brand is taking my social media addiction to another level.
Yeah.
Because I need this thing to grow, and it's exciting to watch it grow. So every post, all the profiles, I'm like refreshing all the time to see how it grows, because that's the game right now. It's like part of the mission, right? Is I want this thing to get bigger.
Absolutely.
But it's taking that dopamine to another level. And with my Ned's pod as well, like I am on my phone even more now because of this. So I thought it was a great time to bring you on to kind of talk about digital wellness and our digital habits.
Let's talk about it. I love to talk about this all day, every day. So like, I hope we have.
Yeah.
How much time do we have here?
We have an hour.
Okay.
So let's do this. Before we talk digital wellness, will you tell me what was your transition from adolescence to adulthood like? I'll say that.
I think that, I grew up very sheltered. I grew up with, super caring parents who definitely wanted me to be a high achiever and wanted like the best for me. And so I think that I had a big awakening when I went to college. I was faced with like serious challenges, like really I had my heart broken and I thought like it was all me, like I was a problem and I was depressed by it. And school was like incredibly challenging and like I didn't have a solid group of friends and I internalized those failures. I made it all about me.
You're not enough.
Yeah, like not enough and not good enough, smart enough, strong enough, all of that, all the not enoughness. And so I feel like that was a marker of my adolescent phase, definitely, of like having that kind of, I don't know, layer of self-judgment or self-reflection. And then as I'm kind of discovering those things even just now in my mid-30s to start to realize that when things challenge me, that just lets me, like my challenges help me grow faster. Like the harder something is, the faster I grow, and taking that more as an opportunity and another gift as opposed to like something is wrong if something feels too hard or tough.
Absolutely. I resonate with that deeply. I had a magical childhood. I had a lot go really well, and school was always easy for me, and friends came naturally. And then I was on a TV show at 12, and it was my second pilot season. Like, all was just kind of, life was just blossoming for so much of my life. And when it started to get challenging and really hit me with some shit, that's when you find out more of who you are too. Because when you're not bumping up against anything, when you're not bumping up against the edges of life, yourself, your ideas about things, you don't actually know.
Exactly.
You don't actually know what you're made of. You don't actually know who you are. You haven't learned that thing of like, oh, this challenge hit me and I really feel rocked by it and devastated. And you don't go through that process of, but how am I going to figure it out? And how am I going to show up to this situation now, or show up to my life now and learn like, oh, you know what? I'm actually like pretty fucking resilient. Like, oh, I'm pretty strong. Like, you don't know that when everything's fine.
Yeah.
You don't really know how strong your heart is until it's been shattered, you know? Like,
exactly.
Those moments are beautiful and necessary, and they will come for us all.
I really like what you said about finding your edge there. Like, I think that's a really great way to think about it. Like, for those people who are lucky or unlucky enough to have like not had their edge or not had the hearts broken or, at a certain age, when they then discover that edge, it feels worse because they think that, they internalize it. And so having that new perspective of actually choosing to be on your edge as a practice and being like, that is growth. That's a really great shift.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, does this thing kind of scare me a little? Does this life experience not scare me in the true like physical danger way, but ooh, does it make me a little nervous, a little scared in my capability? Like, cool, go do that.
Exactly.
Go do that thing.
Yeah.
That's been a big part of my adulthood journey, and I think most people's, I'm sure. And like you said, like there's a luckiness to not hitting those edges early. There's like an innocence to your childhood if you were provided it, if life blessed you with that. Some people hit those edges real early, and that comes with different issues.
Yeah.
When from a young age, you've known that the world is challenging and like gonna throw chaos at you and you feel unsafe, right? Like that comes with a different level of challenges. But when you've been isolated from it for a very long time and then it hits you later in life, like, yeah, that is a learning process, man. That is a serious learning process. I'm glad you said rite of passage too, about your kind of college experience, because that's a huge part of our maturing process. And in certain cultures, there's like very clear rituals and rites of passage. Like there's very clear lines of, here, this is you immature, this is you mature, and here's our ceremony around it, right? In our modern US culture, like there's not really like clear ones. They're out there, they're happening to us all the time, but you kind of just stumble upon them at whatever point in your growth and wherever life meets you. College is one of them. I think college is for sure one of them. Do any other rites of passage come to mind for you?
Definitely when I was in Boy Scouts, the going out and camping that we would do once a month, basically, like is like now my favorite thing. And like the fact that I know how to start a fire and like have a bug out bag if, you know, shit hits the fan. Like I think that those are some of my favorite skill sets.
Yeah, and that's super helpful real life skill sets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that, you know, the challenges of being with a bunch of boys of different personality types and like backgrounds and family challenges that they bring to the table, and nobody knows like what they are or who they are. That was and they force you into different leadership roles as well, like being a patrol leader, and having people over at your house to actually like teach them some sort of merit badge type thing. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. That makes sense to me, because that is a safe time to kind of learn these roles of leadership, these different skills of accomplishment, but you're learning it kind of in the safety of Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts, childhood. But those skills translate. They translate to real life. They translate to your adulthood. Like, so that's great practice.
It was so much about leadership and about like cleaning up your side of the street, like taking care of yourself and then taking care of others, like service as it was a big part of that. And like, you don't really get any of that stuff. You don't get the importance of it at the time, but you do it. So then when you see and feel the importance of it when you're an adult, you like already know how to do it. And I'm just so grateful for all that.
That makes sense to me. I didn't do a lot of camping when I was younger, but having any level of capacity to go out into nature and survive, even in a glamping sort of setting, it always hits me on a deep primal level and feels really good. Because like a lot of people have like good, you know, they can edit and make great content and they're funny and they can write and do all these things, but like take them out into the woods with a tent and they don't know what the fuck they're doing and they don't know how to help the people around them. And I, over the years, kind of, I think it probably started with Burning Man, but like over the years, I've developed some capacity to like create and care for a fire. I mean, I can't start it with 2 sticks, but like I can make a fire and tend to it pretty confidently. Like I can handle a bunch of my friends camping and like be really helpful and responsible in making it all happen and setting everything up and like taking care of the space. And that's some real world shit that feels really good. Have you heard the phrase touch grass?
No.
Okay, so so this is like an internet phrase. It's when people get a little too like, I don't know, heady about even social ideas. It's when someone just gets too neurotic online. People go like, yo, touch grass.
Got it. Like ground yourself.
Ground yourself.
Like,
go touch grass. There's a real world outside.
Got it.
And camping always feels like that for me. Is like, yeah, no, touch grass is real. Like, go camping.
Yeah.
Go spend a couple days.
Touch stream.
Touch stream. Touch stream.
Touch stream.
Mountain. Touch tree.
Touch dirt.
for real, it's there's something like resets in me every time I go camping, and I'm like, I need to do this more.
There's research on that too that shows that, I mean, especially when you're not on screen, like if you don't, there's a specific study where they took the brain scans, functional MRIs of people who walked around this park, like with a lot of greenery, with their phone and without their phone. And so, you know, mostly when you're camping, you don't have service anyway. And so it's just kind of like natural. Maybe you're taking photos and stuff. But yeah, so the people who did that without screens and just like were present in nature, you see a huge shift in the activity of their brain. They actually reduce activity in the areas of the brain associated with like stress and like future thinking, like being in the mind, basically, and a lot more of a sense of what you'd assume, you know, presence and just kind of like acceptance of the moment. But if you have a device on you or you're checking it, you actually don't make those shifts. So there's a lot of things that happen when we go into nature that are like, I don't know, ancillary effects. Like you might be going camping, not specifically because you're trying to do a digital detox, but you do in effect. And so you see all these amazing benefits of it.
Yeah. When I'm just sitting by a fire with no phone and it's just like the night sky and a fire and I'm just staring into the fire for an hour, life feels good.
Yeah.
I feel free, present. It's so easy. This is a perfect time to talk about, I mean, I love how that got brought up, is you started a digital habits and digital wellness company, and I believe you're the first person to do so. That is how I met you. Tommy's company is called Brick. Go Brick Now, right?
Yeah, like on Instagram.
On Instagram, it's Go Brick Now, but it's Brick. And the reason it's called Brick is because they host these events where everyone who shows up has to turn their phone into a brick, essentially. You turn it off, turn it on airplane mode, and put it in a VHS case, and everyone stacks those cases like in the front. So the entire event, you can't even get to your phone. And I got invited to sing at one of these events, and it was my first time being at one of these. As a singer, especially when I'm doing my acoustic stuff, I am hyper aware of the audience's presence with me. I can feel when they are present with me and when they're not. And when they're not, I don't enjoy playing as much. It's like I want to have this experience where, especially the music I was singing at the time, it's like deep. And I want us to go through this process with this song and actually have an experience, actually experience a shift through this music. And I could always tell when an audience is present with me and not. And man, at an event where there is no cell phones in anyone's pocket, it was gorgeous, man. It was gorgeous. Just even beyond me playing the room, it felt different being somewhere where no one is on their phone. Because say you have a room full of 50 people and one person is looking down at their phone. That's felt in the space.
It is.
It might inspire me to look down at my phone and tune out. Or I'm aware of what they're looking at. Like, it's felt. And when you take that off the table, I love Brick events for that. It really does change the space and change our human connection. And I really, immediately that first time, I was like, I love this mission. I love what Tommy's about. And I want to come to more of these. And I feel lucky that I got invited. So will you tell me about how this all started? How did Brick begin?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first, I remember that night. That was so magical. Like,
it was awesome.
We had like, what was it? Like 5 different Grammy-winning musicians all playing.
Yeah.
Just like, we all wrote different like poems and then like played it live with the music. Like that was crazy.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
So cool.
It was like a really like synergy.
We got to do that again.
Yeah. Music and flow's got to come back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then, I think that one of the things that I think, I'll tell you about my story a little bit more, but I think the like magical X factor that I discovered through developing Brick is that when you create a temporary phone-free space, everything shifts. And what we often can create in our own lives for people who practice digital minimalism or digital wellness or want to like get into flow state, like they might individually make choices like that. They might be like, I'm going to get off my phone so I can be present in this dinner on this date, or like pay attention to, whatever, focus on work. But when you are, like you said, surrounded by others that are not doing that, it doesn't work as well as if everybody has agreed to a certain condition.
Yep.
And that is kind of like the baseline, like the background for what this community is about, is just so special every time. And, I'm surprised more people aren't doing it, honestly. But that is kind of like the X factor, like that special sauce.
Yep. Everyone agreeing.
Yeah.
We're not on our phones here.
Exactly.
Whatever's happening, I'm either, even if you want to be bored in the space, be bored in the space.
Yeah.
Like, be bored with us, you know? But they're never boring, because that's what happens. You're like, oh, I'm not on my phone. Maybe I should talk to this person. Oh, shit, they're cool.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm going to find out things.
Exactly. And like, that's one of the things that I think we've been learning, and that when we enjoy anything, whether it's cooking or like I like going to the beach or reading, like no matter what that thing is, it's not that activity that we love. It's the presence that we bring to it. And so when we have this practice of like multitasking, of like maybe watching our favorite movie or like being with our favorite person, over dinner or whatever, but having that phone there, even if you don't check it, most people do check it, but even if you don't, there is that kind of low level, there's a tab open of like, I wonder if that person responded to me, or like, I wonder how many new comments I got on my last post. And so like, you're not fully there and present, and that is a cost, but also you just don't enjoy what you're doing more.
As
and
much,
so, yeah. So also, you remember the experience less, like you feel less connected to those people. And so there are a lot of negative consequences, but just the fact that like you enjoy what you're doing more because you're fully present in it.
Yeah, I would say not just the presence you bring to it, the presence it brings to you when you're not on your phone. Do you know what I mean? Like the beach brings presence to me. It's like sitting with someone I love, not being distracted by my phone. Like, oh yeah, I remember what being present is, Yeah.
There's this course that I'm actually in right now that I want to bring up, just because what they've done is they did this thing called factor analysis that I'd never heard of before, but it's basically like taking all these different data points and boiling it all down into like the fundamentals. Okay. So like, for example, there's like millions of colors out there, but if you were to do factor analysis on color, there's really only 3 colors. It's like the primary colors,
Got
right?
it.
And so based on those 3 primary colors, you can make, mauve and, all these other, millennial pink or whatever.
RGB.
Exactly.
Blend them in ways. And
Exactly. So that's factor analysis with color, but you can do that when it comes to like mindfulness and presence too. And, I have spent most of my life trying all these different kind of healing modalities, like trying different meditation and breath work and ayahuasca and, talk therapy and hypnotherapy and all this stuff. But those are all, it gets overwhelming, honestly, because you're like, okay, I have all these different tools, but like, which tool am I going to use when and how? And it can be kind of like, you can get into this self-development trap where it's like, oh, I need to learn the next thing. Oh, I haven't heard of like somatic therapy. Like, no, I got to do that before I'm healed. And so I had a little bit of that. And what I'm loving about, just to take it back to like the factor analysis, what these people have studied is that when you actually just take a few seconds to be fully present on something, it can be fully present on your breath. It can be fully present on an object. It can be fully present on like a tactile sensation. But just being fully present on something for like 2 minutes or less, that brings you back to your joy or like your calm. Like if you're experiencing any negative emotion, like stress, frustration, and anything, distraction, just spending a few seconds getting present in your breath or a tactile sensation or something you're looking at, like into your body. It is that shift. And that's like really what everyone's trying to teach you when they tell you to meditate or, some sort of mindfulness practice.
Get you present into here and now in your body, in your senses.
Yeah. So I just love that concept.
That's amazing. I love that. I had Allison Stoner on this podcast a couple weeks ago, and she has a company she's starting called Movement Genius, and really they're teaching people simple. I mean, that's almost a somatic tool, is what you're talking about, and that's kind of their mission, is teaching people kind of these simple tools to get present and deregulate or regulate your central nervous system. Throughout the day. Like, sure, meditation, sure, talk therapy, but how can we just get people in their bodies and to move stress through them and handle it better, right?
That's so cool.
To regulate. Yeah.
I saw a little bit of that.
Cool.
I got to look into that
more.
Yeah. So about Brick, where it all started was just that I was addicted to my phone. You know, I was on my phone probably for like 10 hours a day, and I was in the film industry, and I was the junior executive at this film studio at DreamWorks Studios, and I was trying to figure out, like, okay, what is Steven Spielberg gonna do on like YouTube and Snapchat and Facebook? And so I just found myself on my phone like all day. You know, first thing in the morning to last thing at night, and checking it in the middle of the night. For no reason. And I even crashed into a car because I didn't see it at the red light in front of me. Yeah. And so if anyone was addicted to their phone, it was me. And
we're all addicted to our phones because they were designed to addict us.
We all are, exactly. They're addictive by design. We all have these challenges with it of compulsion and feeling the obligation to be on it as much as possible. But at the time, this was like 2015, I thought it was just me. Because nobody was talking about this. Digital wellness hadn't been coined yet, I don't think. And so I thought it was just like my embarrassing, like, personal little problem. And so once I also have this background in neuroscience, and once I started applying just like super rudimentary habit change practices that I'd learned, which was basically like, okay, can I put my phone down for an hour a day to do something that I love? And for me, it was reading. So like my favorite thing in the world to do is read. And I had like my bookshelf of 150 books that I hadn't read a single one of, just like glaring down at me for like 5 years. And so when I decided like, I'm just going to spend an hour at night to read, over the course of that year, I ended up reading 27 books. Dude. And I was like, oh my God, I, first of all, loved the information and the kind of learnings I got from that. But most importantly, it was that sense of agency of being able to be like, okay, I can put my phone down. I can have this sense of control. And that created this ripple effect where I was then sleeping better because I wasn't scrolling at night and it wasn't disrupting my circadian rhythm. So then I was waking up earlier and more rested. And because I wasn't also then checking it in the morning, I had more time to actually make a breakfast and like, maybe even go to the gym before work. And so and it also was affecting my social life, where before I was just going on these endless first dates all the time and nothing was really going anywhere. I started to feel more confident when I was in social situations, because I felt like if I did feel that vibration in my pocket, that I like could say no to it. Whereas before I knew that I couldn't say no. Yep. So that was what I understand now is called a keystone habit, where you make one behavior change and it creates this cascade of other positive habits. And so for me, that was turning my phone into a brick. That was where the idea came from, and reading. And I just started sharing that with a bunch of people in my community, a lot of actors, a lot of people in film and music. And they were all like, wow, they resonated with the message too.
Sure.
And absolutely. And I realized that everyone was kind of seeking this permission to spend a little bit of time off the grid, that everybody was feeling like they needed to be always on. Yeah. And so it just kind of blew up from there. Yeah. Like, started putting together these events where we all got phone free together, and started throwing these like retreats with like 55 people in Joshua Tree or Ojai. And yeah, now it's this community of like, 6,000 people around the world. And over the course of these like 5 years, I would say, I changed my habits drastically. Like I'm on my phone for like an average of 1 hour a day. So I went from 10 hours to 1 hour, and went from Yeah, it's called the 1 Hour Club. It's,
I'm not in it.
It's it's a very rarefied place. There's like 2 people.
Yeah.
But and honestly, I'm not always in it either.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I wanted to bring up from the intro that I'll share. But yeah, so I started being asked, like, how did I change my habits, and started coaching people on it. So I became, like, I think the first digital habits coach, where I started helping like entrepreneurs and business owners and just kind of humble high achievers, I like to call it.
Yeah.
People who want to make the most out of their time and are dissatisfied with their relationship to screens and social media. And
but then in a world where anyone who's an entrepreneur or creating content, it's like we're in a world right now where it's intricately linked with the technology and using our phones. So I know that's the place we find ourselves stuck. So I'm sure there's many people who want this. Is like, I want to feel more present. I want to feel more joy in my life. And I need to use my phone and technology often for a part of my life that I also need, which is my career.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, there's a lot of people who need to use social media for work. There's like real estate agents, social media managers, brands, people who have personal brands. And so, it's even more important for them. It's even more essential for them to have a screen-free practice. To have that balance.
To know how to turn it off.
And the other part of it that I think that has helped me, and that a lot of people don't acknowledge, is really what balance looks like. Like, I think when we think about balance, we imagine that like scale, like that balancing scale where there's like 2 things that weigh, I don't know where my arm should go, where there's like, I've got 10 rocks here and then it's a little bit heavier than this. And so like to create balance in my life, I got to add a little bit more weight here and then it's done. So like there's this kind of assumption almost that there's like a moment where things will be balanced.
And it stays.
And then it stays.
Yeah.
But that's not how life works.
No,
life
isn't.
is this dynamic, constantly moving thing. Life is much more about daytime and then nighttime, spring, summer, fall, winter. It's
seasons.
Much more about seasons and cycles. Exactly. It's about inhale. It's about exhale. It's about wakefulness. It's about sleep. And so balance is actually honoring the rhythm and cycle, that life is movement. The only thing constant in life is change. So we don't want to have this false expectation that there's going to be a moment where everything's finally in balance and then we can stop.
Right. Because or beat ourselves up when it's
not.
We're not getting it
exactly.
there. Right.
Yeah, that true balance is rebalancing.
Right.
That balancing is actually a practice.
Right.
And so there is never a moment where it's done.
Right.
That it's actually just honoring the cycle instead.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like, oh, I fell off the surfboard. Well, gonna ride another wave and balance on the wave.
Exactly.
Oh, lost my footing again. You know what I mean? Like, are you gonna stop forever? No, you're gonna do it again because it's super fun.
And, because you mentioned seasons, I think that that's like a perfect example of this, where like we have different seasons when it comes to our work and business too. So like right now, you might be in what you could call like a spring season.
Yes.
Where you're planting all these seeds,
yes.
You're introducing like lots of new content, bringing
yes.
people together. And then after that, once you have, and that requires probably a lot of time on your phone.
Yeah.
You got to be planting lots of seeds. You're in
yep.
the fields, like doing lots of outreach.
Yep.
But then after that, you get to have a summer. And the summer is when you actually brought all the people together. That's where you have the summer parties and, the soirees or whatever on the yacht. And then,
yeah, my yacht.
But then there's fall, and fall is where you typically harvest.
Yes.
So fall is where you take all the seeds that you planted and you've taken enough time for them to grow. That's where maybe you might then have the millionth listen or something like that, like where the goals might be achieved from like the mission that you set out way back in spring.
Right.
And then after that, there's winter, and winter is that kind of like closing the door, going into the log cabin by yourself and actually, turning off the world to think about what the next big year is going to look like.
Yeah.
And so like in terms of balancing and honoring balance, what I think a lot of creators like would benefit to realize is like honor those seasons. Like if you're in a spring or summer season right now and you need to be like posting tons of content, replying to tons of comments to like reach certain goals, like that's okay.
Do it. Yeah.
That's okay. And then know that there's going to be like a winter season.
Yeah.
Like for example, for me, I'm writing this book, or I was been in this process of writing this book. And so like, as I'm kind of conceptualizing that, figuring out the outline, like that's a winter season.
Yeah. That's you closing in.
That's where I deleted social media.
Yeah,
for 9 months, I wasn't on Instagram.
Makes
and
sense.
I was just figuring out my frameworks and concepts.
Yeah. I think it's important to note, like, the seasons that we're referencing here don't always line up with the seasons of the year.
Yeah,
It's important to note this is like a metaphor, and sometimes they line up with the seasons of the year, but like, nah, sometimes, I mean, I've gone through a winter season that lasted, you know, like a couple years before. Like sometimes these seasons naturally in our lives hit in different capacities, you know, different lengths. Yeah. But it is rhythm.
And you've got your like personal seasons, but then you also have like your each project might have its own seasons.
Yes.
Yeah. So multiple cycles. But that is, I feel like, what balance looks like. It's actually honoring like, hey, I'm in a spring season right now. And like I can trust that the seeds that I'm planting, I'll be able to harvest in fall, you know, in this theoretical fall season. And then there'll be like a winter where I'll be able to get in the 1 hour club.
Yeah, I am kind of accepting, like, I got 2 podcasts now, and I want them to grow, and it's spring. They are in their early stages. So being online is where it's at. That's where the world is for what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna do it, you know? And then I do hope and trust that I'll find my times throughout the year to shut it down and go into nature, or just like not be on it so much and not be checking it so much, because as fun as it is, and as funny as it is sometimes, I mean, you started this before TikTok. TikTok is like, they just made it so it's the easiest thing in the world. You just swipe up and get a new thing.
I know,
that's fun, funny, cool, smart. It's everything. It's genius.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's so simple and pure at just like pleasing the mind for a moment. Yeah. For a sweet, sweet moment. Mm-hmm. But it comes with a cost. I can barely read anymore. I do read. I love reading. But it is so, my brain after like a page is like, where's my phone? Yeah. And I have to like pull it back onto the page and keep reading. So yeah, it comes with a cost.
Well, everything that we do is making it easier for us to do that same thing next time.
Right.
So by you persevering when you feel that distraction from your book, noticing that you feel distracted and then going back to the book, the next time you read, it will be a little bit easier. You're kind of like training this neural pathway for focus.
You're talking about neuroplasticity, aren't you?
Exactly, I am.
This is a good thing. Yes, this is a good thing. It's how our bad habits get out of control, but it's also how you pull them back is neuroplasticity. It's that our habits create easier pathways in our brain to do that habit.
Exactly.
Yeah, fascinating. That's good to remember when I'm pulling my brain back to my page. Like, this is getting easier.
It's basically like noticing the distraction, the desire to check TikTok when you're trying to read. Yeah. Noticing that and then going back to the reading. That's, some people think of that as like failure. Like, oh, like, why am I distracted? I used to not have this problem. That's not failure. That's actually you doing a rep. That's like if you were in the gym, like curling your bicep would be the thing that makes your muscle stronger. Yeah. And so by you bringing back your attention and focus, what you might call self-command, like the self-command muscle, that is you strengthening that muscle for focus.
Awesome. I love that. For audience members who feel like they're struggling with how much they're on their phone, can you give us, I mean, you mentioned your keystone habit that started it, but can you give us like three practices for digital wellness that you can start with, to start your game of balancing?
Yeah, I think that I have these 15 habits that I offer my clients, and I usually tease with like a few.
Tease us, Tommy.
So, the first one that I think is most contextual for this conversation so far is that when we think about habit change, we often think that it requires like grit and willpower, and that it's like hard, or that we need to like have the motivation.
Effort.
Yeah, there's an effortfulness to it.
Yeah.
And there is that aspect, but there's like a whole other side of habit change that I feel like people discount, which is just as powerful, which is environment design. So if you can actually design your environment to make it easy for you to do the habit you want and impossible for you to do the habit you don't, then you don't even need to make any decisions with willpower, or, you know, it just becomes...
Because you've set it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You've set yourself up for success, and you don't even require that muscle. And, you know, in my experience, the people who have the greatest willpower are the ones who need to wield it the least. So if you can actually create a lifestyle that just naturally supports the habits that you want and none of the ones that you don't, then you're going to be super successful. And so in terms of environmental design, when it comes to phone habits specifically, there's a few. I think the most important one is making your bedroom a phone-free zone. So if you can, and most people don't do this because they use their phone as an alarm clock.
Exactly.
But I've been hawking this $10 alarm clock on Amazon for like 4 years. It's the one that I use. I mean, there's better ones probably that are like more expensive, but honestly, it's like $11.
Yeah.
And it allows me to use that as my alarm clock in the morning, and then I charge my phone in the other room. And so that allows me to know that even if I couldn't check my phone if I wanted to.
Right when you wake up.
Right when I wake up.
And when you go to bed.
And when I go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the second habit, the second habit kind of ties to that, which is make the first and last hours of your day phone free. So once you have your bedroom as a phone free zone, it's really important to then kind of honor that choice by being like, okay, I'm going to make the mornings for myself.
Yep.
Because you're setting a foundation for the energy that you're going to bring into the rest of your day. So if you wake up, and I'm actually releasing a video tomorrow that's also about this, but if you wake up and you check your phone, you're immediately seeing like the bad news, and your crypto just all disappeared, and you know, there's an earthquake, and your mom's upset about something, and so like suddenly you're like seeing all this you're feeling all this cortisol, and that puts you in a reactionary state. That puts you in this kind of like fight flight state. And so then you take that reactionary state into everything that you do, and so you're more likely to then just reply to a bunch of emails or reply to a bunch of comments or DMs. And so then you're like doing this kind of lower level thinking, as opposed to what I think most of us really want, which is like, okay, I'm going to figure out what my priorities are for the day. Like, what do I want to focus on? And maybe have like a morning practice that helps ground you, or like to feel a sense of presence or gratitude. Like, could be as simple as like this morning, I've been recently enjoying just going outside and just like staring at the sun, like putting my face in the sun for like 30 seconds. And that like morning sunlight is good for your circadian rhythm too. So like just something like that, or like making a tea, or petting your cat, or if you want to meditating and, you know, or journaling, like those types of morning rituals can do a really great job making you feel spaciousness.
Yeah.
And then you can bring this sense of presence and spaciousness into everything that you do. So you can be more present in all of your conversations, so that you can be more creative in your problem solving at work. And so that can be a really big shift. And, you know, it's not easy, obviously, especially when you have this habit of basically using your phone to wake up.
Yes, which is what I do. It's like I'm half conscious in my bed. I'm not ready to get out of bed because I'm like barely functioning.
Exactly.
So it's like, and my phone's my alarm. So then it's like I grab for the phone because it's a slow kind of starting to wake my brain up. But I do notice the issue of okay, I just slept. I just, entered the void, the great abyss that I love so much. I love sleep. I'm obsessed. I just like reset whatever noise I was in the day before, emotions, all that, right? And now I'm a little groggy waking up, so I go to my phone to wake up, but now I'm with everyone and everything in the world.
Yeah.
I'm with every opinion on everything. I'm now forming opinions that I didn't even know I gave a shit about. I'm reacting to things either scary or just useless, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm all of a sudden taking in all this information, even if it isn't consciously making me stressed. It's just a lot of information because the way social media is designed, it's just like, it's a feed.
More.
So you're just getting hundreds of lines of different information and opinions. And I have noticed, I haven't done anything to stop it, but I have noticed like this isn't my favorite thing to do in the morning, even though it's my habit. Like I don't love immediately inundating my awareness with all this info. And now I have opinions about shit that I didn't even know I cared about first thing in the morning.
Yeah. And when you're in that kind of like flowy, half dream, half wake state,
Yeah.
You're highly suggestible.
That.
So if you were to wait and check the news or all that, once you've kind of created a proper foundation for your day, then it might not cause that same reaction.
Yeah.
But when you're highly suggestible, you're taking on that energy
Yeah.
of that feed. you
Yeah,
know?
because our brain's like in a different brainwave state when we're waking up, right?
Yeah.
It's still like fluctuating. And I had read that before bed and when you wake up, it's actually the most powerful time for like affirmations.
Yeah, exactly.
Telling yourself what you want to believe about yourself, even if you don't yet. But that's the most powerful time to put it into your brain is an hour before bed or an hour after waking or while you're waking. Good
Because
time
your subconscious mind is kind of more available to.
Yeah,
more
you're in that
suggestible.
in between.
Yeah.
And the subconscious mind is really hard to get to. I think that's there are limits with our healing on an intellectual level. It's why I love talk therapy. I recommend therapy for fucking everybody at some point in your life. Have a therapist and talk to them. It's so helpful. But we can only access so much of our healing through our intellect because a lot of it is happening through patterns that are deep in our subconscious. They're hard to get at. It's why really powerful experiences can get at them. It's why like ayahuasca and crazy stuff can actually get down into those spaces that are hard to get at. It's why people have life-changing experiences when they almost die, like stuff like that. It's actually getting into the subconscious. So it's hard to get in there, but learning like before bed and when you wake up, it's more accessible in those moments. And maybe taking a little more care of myself in those moments. It's like kind of nice to have that invitation.
Well, I like the way that you put that because I think that is a great way to think about it. Like the way that you treat yourself in the first hour of your day, like that could be treated with care. Like how would you care for someone that's kind of in a vulnerable state?
Yeah.
A vulnerable mental state.
Well, I am in a vulnerable state when I wake up. Like I have to wrestle. That's part of why I go for the phone too. I have to wrestle my demons in the morning, right? Like I wake up and that's when I am vulnerable. That's like, okay, what am I going to do with my day? What am I doing with my life? Who am I? What is this? Am I an adult? Am I capable of continuing to pay rent? Can I pay my bills this month? Like all of that shows up in the morning. Because I don't know, that's when it's there. And maybe part of grabbing for the phone is quieting that part of my mind, even though it's creating so much other noise, you know? It's quieting the demons that I don't want to face. Because once I'm awake and I'm going, it's all good. But there is that moment where like every morning, I feel like, maybe not every, sometimes I wake up all good, but like, in that quiet of the morning and that grogginess, I am vulnerable. And that's where I do have to kind of like wrangle my insecurities back into maybe the progress I've been making or the vision I have, you know, like I have to wrestle my demons in the morning. Sometimes sometimes over the last few years, it takes me till like fucking 2, 3 p.m. to be like, okay, I'm through all that bullshit. Now I can actually like focus on anything or call someone or do any of the things I need to do because I'm not just wrestling myself.
I don't think any of that's bullshit. I think all that's like really well spent time.
Yeah. No, it's true.
But
it's
yeah,
true.
I mean, I think that's amazing self-awareness of you, that you realize that sometimes in the morning you have those thoughts. I mean, a lot of people don't even have an awareness of it and they just habitually go to their distractions.
Yeah.
And I think that also what we're learning is that that our phone habits are often, they're called maladaptive habits, because in like this case, for example, and same with me, I would reach out to my phone to feel better because I wanted to feel better. So I was feeling unaccomplished. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling like unmoored, like didn't know what I wanted to do with my time that day or my life.
Yeah.
And so those are uncomfortable feelings. They're not necessarily like negative feelings because I'm sure that they're serving me in some way, but like they don't feel good. And so I'm trying to like feel better. So what can I do to feel better? I'm going to reach out to my phone. Now, the problem is when you do that, you then see all these other people who are accomplishing way more than you and like way more successful with way more
seemingly so joyful.
Yeah, just like
great.
Figured it all out. And suddenly you're feeling like everyone has figured it out even more than you thought. And so now I feel even more behind and even more unmoored and like even less motivated to like actually create something with my life. And so we go to our phones to actually feel better, but it makes us feel worse.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's maladaptive. That it's not actually good at solving the problem.
Right. You're going to it to solve a problem and it's not solving
It's not
the
solving
problem.
it.
It's actually leaving
Makes
you
it worse.
In stasis or worse.
Or exactly.
Usually worse. Because if I go to my phone because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with my time right now, and I want to be doing something productive, but I don't know what to do. Oh, let me scroll on my phone for an hour. Like that doesn't do it. That doesn't solve it. Last year, man. The thing is, it also, this is like any addiction. This goes for fucking any type of addiction, but it kicks up when things are overwhelming, things are vulnerable, when you're going through shit. The reach for the instant hit of dopamine or instant gratification, that's the purpose it's serving. So it kicks up when shit's overwhelming, I've noticed in my life. So the pandemic 2 years was very gnarly. I was going through a lot with everyone and a lot personally. And last year, I've talked about it on the pod a little bit. Last year, I put the pieces back together a bit, did some work and asked the universe to help and like put myself back together, and I feel more integrated and more whole. But there were some habits left over, and I noticed at the end of last year, like I like to think of the positive to negative parts of my life. I like them to be in an 80-20 ratio. I give myself grace for useless behavior or destructive behavior or whatever. If 20% I'm imperfect, great. 80% let me be doing good things for myself. That's around the ratio I like to keep it at. At the end of last year, man, I was noticing, I'm like, I feel like I'm in 80% instant gratification mode throughout the day and 20% long-term good. And I was aware of it, but was having a really hard time shifting it. We had talked about it a bit last year. Even though I was aware, it was still difficult to make the shift. And I noticed it's because it was serving me for so long. That instant gratification was, and being in these instant modes of operating throughout my day was helping me get through the day without being overwhelmed by the huge future issues I was looking at or the huge past I was judging. Like it was helping me be at least here and now, even though the long-term benefits aren't great because it's instant gratification. I'm getting these small little moments of presence. I have started to shift it this year, and it's been great. Someone told me a quote that really helped me over the holidays, that it was something along the lines of happiness is like giving up the constant need to change my state. That really helped me get some space around this habit. I was realizing like, I'm feeling uncomfortable or feeling bored or feeling this or feeling that. And so I'm going to these habits, my phone, coffee, weed, whatever it is, constantly throughout the day to change my state. Right. It's why weed got out of hand for me, because I'd like smoke a joint, and then when it came down, like time to change it again, like time to change my state again. I realized I was constantly riding kind of a surface level change of my state rather than sitting in my life, sitting in the discomfort, like leaning into this shit. And just that little desire to change it, and then that little quote helped me create some space around it. And this year, even though, yes, with the pods, I'm more on my phone, I am finding a lot of days where I'm catching myself in a need to change my state. And I'm not. I'm going, oh, I don't need to change my state right now. I can just be in my state. And like happiness, I think, is a result. It's not a... Happiness isn't actually a state of being. It comes through. Yeah, exactly. You can't like get at it directly. You know what I mean? It comes through other behaviors.
Yeah, it's not something you do. It's the result of just accepting what is.
Yeah.
It's like having the lack of desire for something else.
And the lack of desire to constantly change my state.
Exactly.
Like phrasing it that way, I was like, oh, that is so helpful. That is what I'm doing. Grabbing for my fourth cup of cold brew in the afternoon. Oh, it's because I'm riding this state change until I go to sleep.
And also, I think for me, because I'm riding these same waves, that I don't need to be perfect at it. It's more just celebrating when I catch myself like, oh, I am in a negative state, or I am trying to change my negative state, and just celebrating that I discovered that, and knowing that the more often I do that, the more natural that will become.
That's it. That's the ratio thing I'm talking about. Like 80-20 is my ideal. I leave a lot of grace, even though, listen, my mom, she would not be down with me getting 80s on my report card, okay? It was fucking A's. But in life, I give myself more grace. 80-20 is the ideal I'd like to be at. But play with those ratios. Even if you can get to 51% of your life doing habits that you believe are better for you, and 49% you're not perfect, like, cool. But just look at those. I find looking at the ratios in my life just important. It's just a good, like, marker, because of course you're not going to be perfect at it. None of us are going to be perfect at anything.
Because when we get frustrated that like, oh, like yesterday I didn't try to change my state at all, or the last 3 weeks I didn't, but then today I now find myself wanting to go back to that maladaptive habit, that can create frustration and self-judgment, which itself is just another aspect of that, of the judge. So actually just accepting that as well.
Like, oh, here I am again. Instead of spiraling down and beating yourself up and then going like, oh, well, fuck it. I think people have this with like exercise or eating healthy. It's like you fall off a couple days and then you just find like, oh, well, fuck it, you know?
Yeah, like it's all or nothing.
Yeah,
you don't need to make it mean something. Like mean that it's not working, or mean that, you know, you did something wrong, or you're not good at it. Like those are all lies.
Yeah, just try and put more good days together. A couple summers ago, I found myself at another really low point in my life, just really low mentally, man. My self-esteem was gone. I was just like at the end of this relationship that just like I gave everything to, and it all got swallowed in a black hole. And I was just like, I just had nothing. My thoughts started like to not be good. It was a rough time. And I noticed it and was like, okay, like enough. I didn't call it a keystone habit, but I was like, I need to start putting the pieces back together. I need to do something that is not in anyone else's hands or that's outside of me. So the two habits I committed to starting was working out, and not with a gym, not with a personal trainer. I need to do it at home. Otherwise, the way I'm feeling, if there's just the gap of I need to get in the car and go to the gym, I'm going to not do that too often. So I'm going to do it at home, and I'm going to meditate. The working out, I set as an imperfect, even if I do it twice a week, that's cool. But let me aim for 3 to 5 times a week. Meditate, let me try and hit my twice a day meditation. If I hit it once a day, 5 days a week, great. I like set these things. And that was that thing. When you said keystone habit, I'm like, oh, I didn't call it that, but I felt it. I started doing that weekly. And then a couple months went by and I was consistent with this. And slowly, man, I started to come back to myself and start build better habits around my entire life and just feel my own self-esteem come back and my own like, oh, there I am. I can do this. I can do this life. It stopped being so overwhelming. So
that's amazing. And I think one thing I just want to point out, like a gem in that, for anyone that struggles with creating healthy habits, or if they do have really high screen time or whatever, maybe they're struggling with depression or anxiety, any of these kind of negative emotions, that what you just said, it starts with a decision. Like everything starts with you just deciding that enough is enough.
Yeah. Yes.
You found yourself in that funk rut, whatever you want to call it, which we all have.
Yep.
And that's going to last until you decide.
Yep.
Nothing changes until you decide it needs to change.
Yep.
That was the same thing with me with my phone addiction. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to change this, but something's got to stop. Like I am deciding.
Yeah, you'll go through a process of noticing it for a while, but still being on that slide down. And at a certain point, man, you just gotta hit something inside yourself where you go, and you don't have to force that. Sometimes you have to go on that slide down. Sometimes you have to go through that depressive cycle. But at a certain point, man, you gotta hit something within yourself where you just go, nah, like this isn't working. Yeah. I'm still going in the direction I don't want to. Like, I have to do something.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
And when that enough is enough, that's enough.
Exactly. So awesome to talk with you, Tommy. Always. I really love what you're doing in the world, and I'm glad that we get to be friends in it.
Me too. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Love this conversation. Had no idea where it was going to go, but I feel like hopefully it resonated.
I hope it resonates with all you people who are listening to this on your phone right now. Also, go follow all of our social media accounts and make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends.
Just leave your phone on all day listening to our content. And that is intentional.
Exactly. It's perfect. Go follow Tommy at GoBergNow. And check out all their amazing content and events. I'm happy to be a part of the community.
Thanks,
this was great, man. Great to see you. We'll play some beach volleyball this summer.
Yeah, when is that getting started?
As it gets warmer.
Okay.
The days are getting longer.
I'm so ready.
It's
Still on my calendar every Sunday.
I love it. Keep it there, because it's coming back.
Okay,
we
good.
just took a little winter off, okay?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, my man.
Thanks for listening to that Onomy podcast. Onomy is like Ned's Declassified for adulthood. Visit onomy.co for free lessons on personal finance, career readiness, personal development, and more, all taught by expert influencers and creators. We've got everything you wish you learned in school so you can thrive in adulthood. That's onomy.co. See you there.